I hear from clients all the time that they sometimes struggle with color. They know that certain colors work and certain colors don't. So today's video is aimed at the over 40s and how you can look radiant anytime using color. My name is Michelle Barrett. I've been a personal stylist for 25 years. I now help you build a wardrobe that mixes and matches easily. So let's get started. Now, before I go on, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who is liking, subscribing and sharing my content. It genuinely means I can bring more content to you. I record these videos regularly. I listen to you. I promise you I have got your best interests at heart. So please like, subscribe and share, and let me know in the comments what you think as well. Now, my number one tip for building a capsule wardrobe or any wardrobe that gives you elegance, that enhances your features, that makes you look and feel radiant is to get a color analysis done. Now, if you've had one done before, the chances are you might have changed your hair slightly, maybe your features have changed slightly. It can make a difference. And in addition, I do personally find that most of the traditional color palettes that came out in the 80s don't kind of contain people very well. Now, the ones that came out in the 90s, where it was then expanded into 12, it is somewhat better, but I still find in about 35% of cases that some people don't fit perfectly into those color palettes. So what I do on those occasions is I will pull colors out and replace them with colors that I think are better to the individual. You've only got to look out of your window and look at all the people walking past, and to try and think of fitting them perfectly into 12 categories, I think is a bit of a push. So number one, I would definitely get a color analysis done. Now, my tip to you, whether you decide to book in for a discovery call with me, you can absolutely do that, by the way, the link is in the notes. Or if you decide to go elsewhere, now my biggest tip to you is to go with somebody who has at least 10 years experience. Don't go with anybody less than that, because in my personal experience, having done this for 25 years, I can tell you that I didn't properly learn my craft until I'd worked with lots of different people. Now, this also includes somebody who's done any training or maybe works in a store or whatever it is, because even so, the chances are they worked with a certain demographic of people. So always look for at least 10 years experience, ask them to prove that experience, and also ask for testimonials. You want somebody who is going to look at you as an individual and actually create a palette that works for you. What you don't want is somebody who's going to try and force you into a predetermined color palette. I had a client in New York who was telling me a story about how she'd done a color analysis done, and she showed me some of the clothes that this lady had suggested. And whilst I'm sure she had the best interests at heart, she was actually telling this lady to dye her hair. Now, this is part of the problem with it, is trying to force the person into the color palette is not the way around. You should try and find somebody who is going to adapt and confidently adapt a color palette to suit you. So that is my first bit of advice for you. Definitely get a color analysis done. Now, if you're looking for help with that, definitely book in for a little discovery call with me. Absolutely free. We have a little chat for 15 minutes and I can talk to you about how I can help you with any area of your wardrobe. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the notes. Now, what you often have to do is update your color palette in some way. So even if you had a color analysis done in your 20s, you might find that some of those colors don't quite work for you now. There's two main things that can often happen as we age and the reason why the colors don't quite work anymore. One of them is that your features become slightly more muted. Now, if that's the case, you need to kind of approach, dual tones. If you was told that dual tones worked for you years ago, you might need to approach slightly more muted tones rather than kind of bright blood red. Maybe you go for sort of like more of a plum sort of color or something like that, so that it's slightly kind of toned down. Now, in addition, in the opposite way, you can often find that some colors, like certain types of gray greys and maybe very stone colors, you know, those beiges that are much more towards the gray, you might find as well that they kind of wash you out. So in that instance, you want to add a little bit more warmth. So maybe you go for a warmer beige, or you go for a taupe, or you go for more earthy kind of warmer colors. So with a little bit more of gold in it, a little bit more of yellow in it. Now, it's entirely down to the individual, but these tips are for people who kind of have a good idea of what works for them. But sometimes they're thinking, this really washes me out and I'm not sure why. Just try warming it up. Or if it feels overwhelming, like the neon colors can often feel too much as we age as well. So if those bright neon colors that maybe you loved wearing in your 20s now feel a little bit off, then that's often why. It doesn't mean to say you can't wear bright colors, because I think you absolutely can. If you pulled them off in your 20s, the chances are you can still wear bright colors now, but just mute them down just a notch. The best way to describe this is if you had those traditional colors you had in your 20s, so say like that bright fuchsia pink, for example, and now you want to wear it, what would it look like if you just added a drop of like grey water in it? Just a tiny little bit of grey water. Imagine how that would tone that color down. That is the types of colors that you want to go for. Sometimes, in addition, you need to adjust how bright the colours are. So, for example, like I mentioned before, maybe you've got a neon pink. Well, maybe you might choose a raspberry colour, or, you know, like an electric blue. You might go for more of a cobalt blue, or you might go for a navy blue. You know, this is how you can kind of start adapting things. It doesn't mean to say you can't wear bright colours, but maybe just adjust them slightly. So again, that very vibrant neon yellowy kind of green colour, maybe you kind of go for a lemon, or maybe you go for a sunshine yellow. So I don't want to take colour away from you, because I think the absolute opposite. I think all of us should embrace whatever feels right for us. But if you're literally sitting there and you're thinking, this used to look really good on me and for some reason it doesn't anymore, this is a way you can still wear bright colours, but just kind of replace them with something that which might work a little bit better. Now, another tip, if the bold colours feel a little bit too much, there's a couple of different things that you can do. You could either team them with more neutrals, so maybe you go for a turquoise blue with kind of a warm beige, or you go for a charcoal grey with a turquoise blue in the winter. You know, so kind of balance it out, have some kind of neutrals with some brighter colours as well. The other thing that you can do is to go for the monochromatic looks. Now, if you're brave, you might quite go for kind of quite bright colours, maybe plums. Maybe you have a silk or satin skirt, and then maybe you've got some knitwear in a similar colour. Now, before I go on, if you are really struggling with colour or any aspect of your wardrobe, and you kind of need a little bit of help, but you don't think you need a full-on colour analysis, or maybe you don't need the full-on help with a personal stylist, you know, you find these videos really helpful, why not consider joining my little VIP area here on YouTube? It's for the price of a coffee once a month. I come on live once a month. You can ask me questions directly. We have a different theme each month, and I am genuinely trying to create that area to be adapted to the individual's needs. So however it develops will be what the community wants. Next up, update your hair and makeup. Now, one thing I will say in regards to this, though, I don't believe, as you can see here, in cutting all your hair off. I quite a lot get told by my trolls that I should cut my hair off, and I'm absolutely not doing that. I don't look good with short hair. But update it in whichever way you feels good for you. So whether it means you get a bit of a new cut, whether it means you adjust your makeup. What I do find is that often makeup does need to be adjusted in some way. It's often about slightly softer lines. And also you can do quite a lot with how you use eyeshadow and how you use contouring to kind of really help you in looking your best as well. If you are interested in that, then what I would suggest you do take a look at my video, which will be coming out in May, where I'm collaborating with a lady in the US who talks very much to women over 40 about their hair and makeup. So definitely look out for that. Last but not least, the most important thing, whatever age you are, wear your colours with confidence. So this is why any advice like I give here about anything, whether it be about brighter colours or lighter colours or neutrals or whatever it is, has to be down to the individual. Every single one of you is different. Every single one of you has different tastes. So embrace that. That is the way you're going to wear something with confidence. Don't let anybody tell you you can't wear this now or you can't wear that now, including me, come to think of it. But if you feel it isn't right for you, it doesn't quite feel right for you, just adjust it slightly. You know, when private clients come to me and they feel like they've lost their way, you know, sometimes it's post having children and suddenly they wake up and they go, what happened? I used to have a great wardrobe and now I feel lost. Then what I always do, the first thing I do is to find out who they are. And it's always a case of just slightly updating who they are rather than completely changing them. It shouldn't be the case. So whoever you are and wherever you are, always wear what you wear with confidence and feel good in yourself. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Please like, subscribe and share. And I will see you next time. Let me know in the comments what you think. Take care. Bye.